Hello everyone. In this video, we will see the concept of global warming. Global warming is the phenomena of increasing average air temperatures near the surface of Earth over the past 1 to 2 centuries. Global warming is the long-term heating of Earth's climate system observed since the pre-industrial period between 1815 and 1900 due to human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, which increases heat trapping greenhouse gas levels in Earth's atmosphere. The term is frequently used interchangeably with the term climate change, though the latter refers to both human and naturally produced warming and the effects it has on our planet. It is most commonly measured as the average increase in Earth's global surface temperature. Global warming is the rising average temperature of Earth's climate system called global warming is driving changes in rainfall patterns, extreme weather, arrival of seasons and more. Collectively, global warming and its effects are known as climate change. Since the pre-industrial period, human activities are estimated to have increased Earth's global average temperature by about 1 degree Celsius, a number that is currently increasing by 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. Most of the current warming trend is extremely likely the result of human activity since the 1950s and is proceeding at an unprecedented rate over decades to millennia. Global warming. Weather refers to atmospheric conditions that occur locally over short periods of time from minutes to hours or days. Familiar examples include rain, snow, clouds, winds, floods or thunderstorms. Climate, on the other hand, refers to the long-term regional or even global average of temperature, humidity and rainfall patterns over seasons, years or decades. Let us see the definition. Global warming is a gradual increase in the Earth's temperature, generally due to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons and other pollutants. Global warming is the phenomena of gradual increase in temperature near the Earth's surface. This phenomena has been observed over the past 1 or 2 centuries. This change has disturbed the climatic pattern of the Earth. However, the concept of global warming is quite controversial, but the scientists have provided relevant data in support of the fact that the temperature of Earth is rising constantly. There are several causes of global warming. which have a negative effect on human, plant and animal lives. These causes may be natural or might be the outcome of human activities. In order to curb the issues, it is very important to understand the negatives of global warming. Let us see what are the causes for global warming. There are two major causes which cause global warming. One is the man-made causes. The other one is the natural causes. Let us see man-made causes of global warming, which includes deforestation. Plants are the main source of oxygen. They take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen, thereby maintaining environmental balance. The forests are being depleted for many domestic and commercial purposes. This has led to an environmental imbalance, thereby giving rise to global warming. Next is the use of vehicles. The use of vehicles, even for very short distances, results into various gaseous emissions. Vehicles burn fossil fuels which emit a large amount of carbon dioxide and other toxins into the atmosphere, resulting in a temperature increase. Next one is the chlorofluorocarbons and hydrofluorocarbons. Hydrofluorocarbons CFCs, hydrochlorofluorocarbons HCFCs and halogens destroy the Earth's protective ozone layer, which shields the Earth from harmful ultraviolet rays generated from the sun. CFCs and HCFCs also warm the lower atmosphere of the Earth, changing global climate. Hydrofluorocarbons HFC also act to warm the planet. Why these CFCs and HFCs are bad for the environment? Let us see. The one reason is the ozone depletion. Decreased concentration of stratospheric ozone allows increased amounts of ultraviolet rays to reach the Earth's surface. Stratospheric ozone loss can result in potential harm to human health and the environment, including increased incidence of skin cancer and cataracts, immune system damage, damage to terrestrial and aquatic plant life, increased formation of ground level ozone, that is smog. The next one is the climate change. While acting to destroy ozone, CFCs and HCFCs also act to trap heat in the lower atmosphere, causing the Earth to warm and climate and weather to change. Hydrochlorocarbons, which originally were developed to replace CFCs and HCFCs also absorb and trap infrared radiation or heat in the lower atmosphere of the earth. HFC and CFC and HFC are a subset of a larger group of climate changing gases called greenhouse gases. Taken together, greenhouse gases are expected to warm the planet by 2.5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of century. Some effects of global climate change include rising sea levels, local natural species extinctions and habitat loss, more frequent heavy rainfall and flooding, high heat stress in summer, increasing health risk from insect and waterborne diseases. With the excessive use of air conditioners and refrigerators, humans have been adding CFCs into the environment, which affects the atmospheric ozone layer. The ozone layer protects the Earth's surface from the harmful ultraviolet rays emitted by the sun. The chlorofluorocarbons has led to ozone layer depletion, making way for the ultraviolet rays, thereby increasing the temperature of the earth. Next one is the industrial development. Global warming is one of the most common and serious consequences of industrial pollution. The industries have boomed very swiftly during the last few decades. These industrial sectors use fossil fuels, which increases greenhouse gases. These gases are the major reason for global warming. With the rise in industrial pollution, global warming has been increasing at a steady pace. The Earth's rising carbon dioxide levels have been tested as unsafe. Before industrial revolution, carbon dioxide has never been higher than it is now compared to past millions of years. Industries caused two-thirds of man-made global warming emissions. Oil, coal, gas companies are contributing to most carbon emissions causing climate change. The vast majority of firms were in the business of producing coal or gas. Half of the estimated emissions were produced just in the past 25 years. Many of the same companies are also sitting on substantial reserves of fossil fuel, which, if they are burned, puts the world at even greater risk of dangerous climate change. With the advent of industrialization, the temperature of the earth has been increasing rapidly. The harmful emissions from the factories add to the increasing temperature of the earth. In 2013, the Intergovernmental Panel for Climatic Change reported that the increase in the global temperature between 1880 and 2012 has been 0.9 degrees Celsius. Next comes the agriculture. Agriculture contributes towards climate change through anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions and by the conversion of non-agricultural land such as forests into agricultural land. In 2010, agriculture, forestry and land use change were estimated to contribute 20 to 25% of global annual emissions. In that comes the land use. Agriculture contributes to greenhouse gas increases through land use in four main ways. Carbon dioxide releases linked to deforestation, methane releases from rice cultivation, methane releases from enteric fermentation in cattle, nitrous oxide releases from fertilizer application. Next comes the livestock. Livestock and livestock related activities such as deforestation and increasingly fuel intensive farming practices are responsible for 18% of human made greenhouse gas emissions, including 9% of global carbon dioxide emissions, 35 to 40% of global methane emissions, chiefly due to enteric fermentation and manure, 64% of global nitrous oxide emissions, chiefly due to fertilizer use. Livestock activities also contribute disproportionately to land use effects, since crops such as corn and alfalfa are cultivated in order to feed the animals. Worldwide, livestock production occupies 70% of all land used for agriculture or 30% of the land surface of the earth. The way livestock is grazed also decides the fertility of the land in the future. Not circulating grazing can lead to unhealthy soil, and the expansion of livestock farms affects the habitats of local animals and has led to the drop in population of many local species from being displaced. Next comes the overpopulation. Increase in population means more people breathing. This leads to an increase in the level of carbon dioxide, the primary gas causing global warming in the atmosphere. Population growth is also important because it affects the Earth's ability to withstand climate change and absorb emissions such as through deforestation as land is converted for agricultural use to feed a growing human population. We are currently adding more than 80 million people a year to our global population. Now let us see what are the natural causes of global warming. Natural causes include forest blazes or forest fire. Deforestation by nature is another leading cause of global warming. Natural forest fires are unusually televised on the news, showing the devastation of mountain homes and communities. While this loss is tragic, the effects of these natural occurring forest fires pose a problem for the Earth's air. Forest fires emit carbon filled smoke into the atmosphere, and new forest growth is slow and not stable enough to produce the much needed oxygen into the newly suffocating carbon air. Natural forest fires will eventually run their course, but left in the ashes are polluting gases that get trapped in the atmosphere. Forest blazes emit a large amount of carbon containing smoke. These gases are released into the atmosphere and increase the Earth's temperature, resulting in global warming. Next comes the volcanoes. Volcanoes can impact climate change. During major explosive eruptions, huge amounts of volcanic gas, aerosol droplets, and ash are injected into the stratosphere. Injected ash falls rapidly from the stratosphere. Most of it is removed within several days to weeks and has little impact on climate change. But volcanic gases like sulfur dioxide can cause global cooling, while volcanic carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, has the potential to promote global warming. Volcanoes are one of the largest natural contributors to global warming. The ash and smoke emitted during volcanic eruptions goes out into the atmosphere and affects the climate. Next comes the water vapor. According to NASA, 2/3 of the gases stuck in the thick blanket is in the form of water vapor. This hitch in toe effect means rising temperature, rising vapor. The water vapor is unable to escape and thus results in hotter climate changes. NASA continues to work on water vapor solutions to reduce their effect on global warming. Water vapor is a kind of greenhouse gas. Due to the increase in Earth's temperature, more water gets evaporated from the water bodies and stays in the atmosphere, adding to global warming. Next comes the permafrost. Permafrost is there where glaciers are present. Permafrost means it is a frozen soil that has environmental gases trapped in it for several years. You can see in the picture, as the most permafrost melts, it releases the gases back into the atmosphere, increasing the Earth's temperature. When frozen soil constituting about 25% of the northern hemisphere increases, it keeps in the carbon and methane gases. So, while you may be thinking about how it can be global warming when you are still freezing in Tibet, the permafrost is actually leaking carbon into the Earth's atmosphere. While scientists cannot stop permafrost from emitting these gases, the Earth's melting ice caps at incredibly fast rates are cause for the concern. Next comes the sunspots. According to the Environment Protection Agency (EPA), sunspots are increasing global temperature. Sunspots restrict the passing of solar plasma, which in turn gives off radiation. You don't have to work for NASA to know radiation is a bad thing. Sunspots and solar flares are powerful and unstoppable. They can change the energy radiation to Earth's atmosphere and thus increase climate temperature. Solar flares, however, have been a naturally occurring event for millions of years. If only sunspots and solar flares were to blame, the world's recent increased temperature would barely move. Now let us see what are the effects of global warming. First one is the rise in temperature, threat to the ecosystem, climate change, spread of diseases, loss of natural habitats. These are the major effects of global warming. The other effects of global warming are melting glaciers, early snow melt, and severe droughts will cause more dramatic water shortages and increase the risk of wildfires. Rising sea levels will lead to coastal flooding. Forests, farms, and cities will face troublesome new pests, heat waves, heavy downpours, and increased flooding. All those factors will damage or destroy agriculture and fisheries. Disruption of habitats such as coral reefs and alpine meadows could drive many plant and animal species to extinction. Allergies, asthma, and infectious disease outbreaks will become more common due to increased growth of pollen producing ragweed, higher levels of air pollution, and the spread of conditions favorable to pathogens and mosquitoes. Thank you.